Okay. Chanukah Sameach, everyone. The sun is back up now. Don't forget to say Al Nissim from this evening. So yesterday we had to take it down so to confuse people, but it's back up. Okay, so let's talk about something very, very interesting, the connection between Parashat Shavua and Chanukah. Every year we read, sometimes Vayeshev as well, but generally Miketz comes up on Chanukah. The truth is, at first glance, you look at the Parsha and Chanukah, it's not mentioned explicitly, obviously. It doesn't seem to be too much connection, but there are many connections beneath the surface, if you look hard enough, and quite deep and quite profound. Let's talk about one of them. But it's very, very interesting. We begin with last week's Parsha. And when Yosef is thrown into the pit, he's in the bore, right? So the Torah tells us, again, the discussion, was it the brothers who took him out of the pit and sold him? Or according to the Rashbam, they didn't sell him. They just left him there and he was taken out. They didn't know. But either way, so when he's placed in the bore, he's in the pit. And it says that these people came to take him out. Right? So it says, the brothers took him, they threw him into the pit. And then it says, they sat down to eat bread. And they lifted up their eyes and they saw, okay, there was this Orchat Yishmaelim, this caravan of Yishmaelim, merchants coming through the desert, coming from Gilad, and their camels were laden with Nechot, tree, and lot, all different types of spices. And they were on their way to Egypt. Okay, they went, they took Yosef. Whoever took Yosef out of the pit took him, he went with them. He goes down to Egypt, he gets sold. And we know the rest of the story as it continues, and we continue this week to read. We know that the Torah doesn't waste words. And we know the Torah doesn't tell us anything superfluous. So all of a sudden it starts giving us, this inventory of the spices that they are selling. It seems very, very strange. Why do we need to know this? Why is this relevant at all? So Rashi points out, right? He says, he says, Lama pirsem hakatuv et masa'am. Why did it have to publicize this fact? Why does the Torah tell us what these merchants are carrying? It's irrelevant. And he answers with 5 words, which are incredible. It says, Lodia matan schalan shel tzadikim. This is to teach you the reward of the righteous, the reward for tzadikim. Why? She'en darkan shel alviyim laset el haneft ve'itran shorechan ra. Meaning these merchants, these nomads in the desert, generally speaking, they would sell tar, they would sell other things which were not so nice smelling. But here, lezen is damnu b'samim. But for Yosef, he was. They came along with all these other types of spices, which actually smell very nice, and that is the matan scharan shel tzadikim. And again, Rashi quoting Chazal, but it doesn't really seem to make much sense. If you want a matan scharan shel tzadikim, you want a reward. So don't leave him in a pit. Don't sell him down as a slave to Egypt. He's been taken captive. He's being sold. Well, what does it help? What does it help him that there's spices on the way, so he has to smell this and not smell that? What's going on? The matan scharan shel tzadikim, says Rashi. It's puzzling. So Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, Sichot Musar, he talks about this, and he has an amazing interpretation over here. He says, by the way, these spices, nochot, shri, velot, those words appear one other time in Chumash Bereshit. If we fast forward into our parsha, so it says when the brothers come back, and before they go down to Egypt the second time, and before when they tell Yaakov what's happened, and he sends them back, so it says they take things with them, right? You're going to go back to this person who at the time they don't yet know is Yosef. They're going to find out later on, and take with you from the good of the land. So there you have it, and amongst other things as well, Shri, Nachot, Velot, it's exactly the same thing, the same spices. So clearly there's a message, there's something going on. There's a connection between the two. But what he says over here, what Rav Chaim Shmulevitz explains is the following. When Rashi says, the point is not that this was a good thing. The point is not there's an importance to the smell, to the fragrance of the spices in and of themselves. Yosef is being sold into slavery. He's just been moved, he's been taken out of his house. He's been snatched away. He's going to be isolated. spoke about a little bit on Shabbat. Everything that he's going through doesn't really matter what he's going to have a good smell on the way down or he's going to have a bad smell on the way down. That's not what's important. But what that fragrance did, what it said, is it's sending a message. Is it sending a message where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, you're not alone, you're not by yourself, you're not completely isolated, all is not lost. There's still something. There's something there. There's a little, it's a gesture almost, but that tells him that something's going on, you're not by yourself. That is Lo Dia Matan Shchaim Shel Tzadikim. That's how Rav Chaim Shmulevitz explains. He says that's what's going on over here with Yosef. And it's that something, that connection that keeps him going. And maybe that's the idea that later on, when these people come back, when his brothers come back and they bring these spices with them, it's the exact same thing. It's all the whole thing is going full circle. How is all of that connected to Hanukkah? So Chaim Shmulevitz explains as follows. He says, we know, and there's so much that's been said about this and so much that's been written about this, and always the question comes up, we have these two miracles of Hanukkah. We have the Nes of the Milchama and we have the Nes of the Pach HaShemen. And again, the Pach HaShemen is something which seems inconsequential. The Maharal asked, and many others asked, had there not been this miracle of the Pach HaShemen? So they came back to the Beit HaMikdash. They fixed everything, they purified everything. So they would have had to wait. They would have had to wait a week before they lit the menorah. So what? If they'd lost in the war, okay, we wouldn't be here today. We would, that would have been something else. But if so you have this miracle of the oil. They had enough oil for 1 day, they did it for 8 days. Azma, as they say, azma. So the point is, it's exactly the same idea. It was not that the nes of the miracle of the oil was needed in and of itself, but again, it's sending a message. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying things are dark, things seem terrible, things seem as if all hope is lost. But there's something here. I'm still with you. In the same way that he gave that message to Yosef, so too he gives that message to us, and it's significant, not necessarily in and of itself, but what's behind it, what's the message behind it. He says it's a little bit like a kiss from above. That's how he calls it. And the analogy he says is when you have when you have parents and children, he says he gives an example of a child who did something, and the parent comes up to, or he lost something and couldn't find it, whatever it was, and then he goes and the child finds something for the parents, and the parent comes and he gives the child a little kiss on the head. The kiss in and of itself isn't significant. What's significant is what he's done and what he's found. But it's that fact, it's that message behind it. So he says that just as Yosef got that matan scharo, he got that little kiss from above telling him, I'm still with you, you're not alone. So too we go through the dark years of exile, we go through the dark winter, we go through the dark days of Hanukkah, and all out throughout that period, Hashem is saying, I'm still with you. He has a little kiss from above, that miracle of the oil. That's for you to remember what it is and what it represents. Last night, a couple of minutes left. So last night we spoke about something in the Ala Nisim. The Ala Nisim prayer, which we'll begin saying tonight, and we say Ala Nisim, Ala Teshuot, Ala Milchamot. And that was the question. Why do we say Ala Milchamot? We would have thought of all the things. We understand we're giving thanks for the Teshuot, we're giving thanks for the Nisim. Why do we give thanks for the Milchamot as well? Rav Soloveitchik says in Harei Kedem, he brought that there are some who have the Girsa, which is different, say Ala without the Vav. So they say Ala Teshuot, Ala Milchamot, meaning it's for the victory in the war. Okay, but most say Ala Teshuot ve'ala Milchamot. So he explains that ultimately there is something within the Milchama itself, that even when the dark times come and these bad things happen, but ultimately the good that comes from that, therefore we give thanks for both. So we wanted to explain that this is maybe the machloket between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. I'll read it to you from the Harei Kedem when he says, it's, right, remember, Beit Hillel are the ones who say that we mosif olech, and that's what we do. We start off tonight with 1 light, we end up with all 8 lights, the Chanukiah fills up as the nights go on, it's beautiful, mosif olech, we understand. Beit Shammai would have started tonight with 8 lights, and each night the light diminishes less and less and less. The question is why? So he says, he says the Beit Shammai yikar mechayev shel shira hu habitachon bezman hatzara v'kana. In other words, ala tshuot v'ala milchamot. We're looking at the salvation that came, and we're looking at the bad times that happened before, and the bitachon that we have, the confidence that we would withstand that we would get out of that we would get through that. So Beit Shammai focuses on the bitachon that we had to have in the time of distress. Every day you get closer and closer to victory. There is less and less to worry about, so to speak. So it's less. So there's less and less tzara. Therefore, we have less and less candles. לפי שנתקטנה צרה של חסרון השמן בכל יום. And therefore, each day there's less and less of that tzara to worry about, and less and less oil. ולבית הלל עיקר השירה היא על הנס הישועה שנתגדלה בכל יום. But for Beit Hillel, it's the opposite. For Beit Hillel, we focus not on the distress that was, but we focus on the salvation that will be. And each day, as the days go on, the victory becomes greater and greater. There is more to celebrate. There is more light. There is more Yeshua. And therefore, that is why we go. He said, ultimately, both of them are necessary. Both of them are a mechayah to give thanks for Hallel. But which one is the Ikar and which one is greater? And as we all know, we follow Beit Hillel. We give thanks for the or, for the light, for the victory, which each night goes and is Mosif ve'olech. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Shamer, Zakash Baruch Zechot Yisrael, Tzach Ba'alim Torah Mitzvot, Shnei Ma'adanech Mitzman, Sidko, Yagdil Torah V'Yadil.